giant Russian grizzly, at large in a land it owns, Siberia's Kamchatka peninsula. This is what life has always looked like here. In a landscape without humans, bears occupy the top of the food chain, playful, content, masters of their universe. Kamchatka, one of the world's best-kept natural history secrets. Remote and isolated, it's an 800-mile peninsula, the ragged edge of the Pacific tectonic plate that pokes out into the Bering Sea from Siberia. Home to a molten string of 33 active volcanoes, Kamchatka appears, even from deep space, to reek with primordial heat. It's a sliver of crystal ice with a heart of flame, fire, and ice. It's what Kamchatka means. Geology here has created a place riddled with thermal vents, constantly melting the snow around them, cheating winter by making green blossom in a white world. It's into these steamy cauldrons that the bears emerge after 6 months of sleep under the snowbanks. Herbivores at this stage, bears welcome the tender shoots prompted by the Earth's inner heat. Their first job after their hibernation is to eat, to regain the strength they once had 300 pounds ago before the long night. The biggest males weigh over half a ton, and they're tall enough at 10 feet to see forever. You'd think this heat was made for them, reviving them after their fast, as if the land and the bears evolved together. The Russian brown bear is identical to our grizzly, Ursus arctos horribilis, the horrible bear. And this is how its yearly cycle always begins. A waking up, some foraging, and a trek out of the snowfields in search of food. Though they have no predators today, hibernation is ancient behavior ingrained in their DNA from the time of the saber-toothed cats. They still den high in the passes, where the first snows erase every evidence of paw prints, as if the sabers were still stalking about. Higher up, a mother and her 3 cubs emerge. Even in a world without predators, hibernation makes sense. Deep sleep conserves energy when the land is snowbound and offers little food. It's nature's way of snoozing away lean times. Typically, mothers lose 1/3 of their body weight over winter. It's hard for them. For the cubs, everything's brand new. Born 4 months ago under snow, they've been in the dark. Their priority is play, working muscles that will soon be tested. Grizzly mothers and cubs have one ultimate fear: male bears. They're solitary and dangerous, and used to killing cubs to eat them. But killing cubs also brings the mothers back into estrus. While they're nursing, mothers are unavailable sexually until the cubs are grown. Killing the children shortcuts all that. "50% of bear cubs won't survive their first year. And he is one of the reasons why." He knows they're up there, but is too famished to go after them. He has a more urgent appointment to keep. It's an appointment that will require him to travel for as much as 100 miles over some of the roughest terrain on Earth, and some of the most beautiful. These are the peaks that generate the water that powers all life on Kamchatka. Snow and sun are the twin forces behind the regeneration of the land. It's a miracle of water and weather that makes this world explode into color each spring. Bears have always known this, and so they come down here very early each year to graze to their heart's content on blossoms and roots and berries. These are days when they appear as so many cattle on the range, and just as docile. But this is not all Kamchatka offers its great bears. There's a second, a far greater offering that's deeply embedded in the peninsula's timeless interaction of ocean and lake, river and mountain. It's nothing short of a miracle. A perfect volcanic cone. It's an image that dominates not only Kamchatka's geography, but ancient tribal folklore as well. Here, the souls of all bears are said to reside. It's here they are born each spring. It's here they go when it's time to die. Sometimes, the flawless peaks themselves are said to come alive. Once a towering mountain fell in love with a deep and placid lake. The lake was such a thing of beauty, however, that his brother mountains, overcome with jealousy, drove him away from his homeland while he erupted in rage. In the mountain's former place, there is only a lake where he once proudly stood. But in the center of the lake, forever with his grand passion, he deposited his heart. It is still here today, in the center of Lake Kuriskoye, 1,000 feet deep, a volcanic caldera now filled to the brim. The site of a yearly salmon migration that draws countless bears to these shores each spring. could these creatures be more formidable? Ripping teeth, 5-inch claws, crushing shoulder muscles. They are killers. But there's a special danger here, and it's to do with population density. It's estimated that 20,000 bears live in Kamchatka. But each spring, they're brought together in unnatural numbers, stalking the shores of every lake and river, eagerly and hungrily awaiting the arrival of the salmon. A peninsula offers watery protection on 3 sides, a good place for a bear to hide. And with big males about, a mother with 3 cubs needs all the edge she can get. She's 5 years old, and these are her first cubs. She'll be their provider and protector until they're ready to face the world on their own at age 4. It's a long childhood, but not as long as it appears, since bears sleep through every winter. Upwind, and so unaware of her, a young male in his first season on his own forages for fresh sprigs and roots. He's also come to the peninsula to avoid the big males. But he's making a mistake if he thinks she'll accept him. To her, he's just another predatory male. Barely out of the cub stage himself, he may just crave companionship. But he's no match for a mother, and intimidated, slopes away. It's a universal folk belief that bears are born as shapeless lumps of fur that the mother licks into little bears. It's the source of the proverb, licking something into shape. In Shakespeare, Richard III is said to be misshapen and afflicted because his mother licked him so poorly. Overcrowding may be bad for bears, but it's a boon to wildlife biology. There are very few humans out here. In fact, it's a wildlife to human ratio akin to what must have existed at the end of the last ice age. As a result, humans mean nothing to bears. They perceive no threat from us, and this allows biologists and filmmakers to get very close. Though such a bear, however cuddly it appears, could easily take off your head. Spring is gathering momentum. Snowmelt and sunshine are recreating the world. Offshore in the Bering Sea, another sign of nature's seasonal clock, the sockeye are forming ranks, millions and millions of them, about to surge home to the very creek beds where they were hatched. It's one of the last unchanged migrations on Earth. 5 years ago, these fish were hatchlings who left Kamchatka to circumnavigate the Pacific. It's a journey of 10,000 miles, and instinct is their only passport. Their life cycle at an end, they use an incredibly advanced sense of smell to refine the very headwaters where they first saw life to start the cycle again. This is the life urge at its clearest. Plump and ruddy salmon, engorged with roe, on the last and most urgent trip of their lives. They were born with this day in mind. And it's not just fish that depend on the completion of this trip. Yes, a great many others are waiting. They're back. A bow wave of fish bent on reproducing. Brood after brood, wave after wave. They'll arrive like this most of the summer and fall, 24 hours a day. Bears see incoming salmon in the same way that African lions regard herds of wildebeest. Not creatures, but calories. Salmon operate the same way as the great African herds, their safety in numbers. Virtually identical, their shapes and coloring confuse and daze their predators. Confused hunters are inefficient hunters. It's every bear's task to gain as much weight as possible during these long summery days. A salmon weighs about 5 pounds at this stage, much of it fat and eggs and oily skin. Salmon, 100 pounds of fish a day is the average diet. Even a smallish adult must add 200 pounds against the onset of winter. These are the days that transform herbivores into raging meat eaters. Everyone benefits off the feeding frenzy, some off spilled fish roe. The mother must throw caution to the wind. Both she and her cubs must eat, and heartily. The stakes are carefully calculated. Better to leave the protection of the rocks and risk murder than to starve in the coming snows. But these are the only choices on offer. The youngster, in the midst of his first summer on his own, fishes a tiny rivulet apart from the great males. It's sad To survive, he'll have to overcome his fear and join them in the lakeside shallows. This is a sort of incompetence that brings out the beast in even the most wily of creatures. Shallows near the river mouth are perfect for salmon to lay their eggs among the cobbles. But long ago the bears discovered that, and that is why they come here, despite the congestion and danger. The young mother too must risk all and bring her cubs here not only for the feed, but for their first fishing lesson as well. Too soon, however, her lesson is cut short. Bears are solitary creatures, and for good reason. They kill one another, but the hope of salmon changes everything. Distracted by all the fish, she momentarily neglects her family. It's all the edge he needs. When she realizes her mistake, she's operating purely on adrenaline and instinct. It's a fight he has no stomach for at the moment. And so intimidation, not power, wins the day. Still, he doggedly stays in her area, keeping her on edge. There are many kinds of reality in Kamchatka. Nursing is as important as defense. And though the violence is only barely over, she must make sure her cubs are nourished and fit enough to run. Still, even during nursing, she must keep a weathered eye to trouble. The cubs have learned a survival lesson. Big males are no fiction. They have great teeth. It's a lesson that's as vital and memorable as the mother's milk as thick as cream that covers their faces. The youngster, meantime, is moving closer and closer to the dangerous lakeside. His fear is ebbing, but has not yet been replaced by any sort of fishing competence, and summer is moving rapidly towards its close. His ineptness, too, is part of nature's plan. Some fish must forever elude the hunter's grasp to fulfill their biological imperative. They've not eaten since they left the deep ocean 2 months ago, and they have just enough energy for laying their eggs. Within days, both male and female salmon will die, but not before ensuring that this ritual will be performed again 5 years down the road by their offspring. When they're not fishing, bears pass the time scratching and rubbing. It's a game, a satisfying respite from work. It feels good, improves the coat, and more important, is a sort of scent marking, asserting themselves, "We were here," it says. The lake is not the salmon's ultimate destination. Instead, it's the quiet, shallow streams that feed the lake. Here, the new hatchlings will be much safer from the bigger fish. It's a fish survival strategy that's good for the bears. The shallows make adult salmon much easier to catch. And to the bargain, the stream edges are covered with vegetation. Great protection for a bear family. Unfortunately, with all the fish upstream, they are not alone. It's an unattached young male. He's probably just mastered the art of fishing. One young male is joined by another. They appear to think they own these shallows, as if they are alone here. For the family, these banks are too good to leave. It's just possible that the young males are so inexperienced that the mother can intimidate them. They're genuinely frightened and choose discretion over valor. In any case, this is a time for eating, not fighting. For the youngster, it's back to scavenging the lakeside, an activity that goes on almost round the clock. Relaxing under the constant sun. For every bear, these are the best of times. Salmon are the lords of Kamchatka. They die, so others may live. Gulls use the lake's heart as an immense rookery. And it's not just there for the view. It's at the center of the salmon food chain. In effect, the fish migration injects 13 million pounds of protein and fat into the lake. The bird's hatching is precisely timed to coincide with the arrival of salmon meat. They'll fledge and fly away about the same time the last salmon begin to wane. When the gulls, their lives made possible by salmon, leave the sanctuary of the lake heart, they in turn become prey. "50 miles away, on the seacoast, a family of stellar sea eagles. With a 10-foot wingspan, they're swift and lethal. Here, a freshly killed gull is devoured. In a very real way, the bears made this possible. It's the great chain of being. They caught the fish that fed the gull, that feeds the eagles. With no fixed boundaries to defend, bears wander all over Kamchatka. Here they've come to the edge, from their mountain dens to the Pacific shore. Range seems to depend on their personalities and the availability of food. Some stay close to home. Others seem constrained even by territory that may extend over thousands of square miles. Back at the lake, the salmon, nearing the end of their run, are so weak that catching them seems effortless, almost pointless. Even the awkward young male can do it. At this late date, success, not technique, is what matters. By next summer, he'll be ready to join the adults. Mother and cubs continue to bulk up. She's added 200 pounds, and the little ones have come from a single pound at birth to about 60 pounds at summer's end. Foxes, too, are having a great summer. When the bears and the salmon depart, it's back to voles and lemmings. With the drop-off in bear density, the cubs' fishing lesson can resume in earnest. As the days shorten, the bears begin force feeding, a natural, ancient, and requisite overeating. This mother still must add another 100 pounds. It calls for round-the-clock binging. All told, this bear family will add 450 pounds over the summer. That means consuming 4,000 salmon, some 20,000 pounds of fish. For the cubs, there's another game on. They're learning to be aggressive. The active, self-regarding cub always becomes fatter, better able to fend off disease and injury and hunger. For the passive ones, life is always harder and shorter. Gulls, too, must make hard choices. That's why this mother seems to be neglecting her charges. But hunger is the only thing that would force them to make that first giant leap toward adulthood. Summer's lease is almost done. The salmon runs are thinning out, and even the last of them are perishing. Their duty done, they expire. For the struggling adolescent, some discarded bones must tide him over for a few days until the arrival of the next wave of salmon. Fall, and Kamchatka is careening toward winter. Emboldened by their salmon fat and unbounded energy, the bears try their luck at much bigger prey. Since they can manage 35 miles per hour for short bursts, bears can and do bring down caribou. With the great males off, the lakefront is suddenly transformed for the youngster. It's his own private haunt, where he can try any fishing technique he wants without fear. It's a good thing, too, for in the great calorie race, he's got to catch up. If he doesn't enter his snow den fat, he'll never come back out. Cubs spend at least 2, often 4 years with their mother. It's a time of learning, a time of play, building up experience for the long run. And the mother can at last rest while the youngsters soak up the world around her. A chunk of porous volcanic ash makes a fine toy, and contesting mock aggression is critical. In these last few days of warmth, their inner clock is urging them back toward the slopes, toward the long night. Every lesson mastered now is one that will see them through the coming snows. The other thing that keeps them going is a memory of the best of times, the eternal Kamchatka summer. But dreams are never enough. The whiff of winter is in the air, and the light is thinning. Reminders of the demanding family trek. Now this, one of the 3 cubs is in decline. Weakened, it has not eaten for 5 days. An infection or injury or parasite has brought it low. With every family move, it lags pitifully behind. It's just not able to continue. Even the smallest of obstacles is well beyond its strength. At the start of the 2nd day's travel, the mother decides against good sense to rest here, risking everything to give even the least of her cubs a chance. The siblings sense that something's wrong and try to comfort her against an unseen enemy. In the night, the fall's first significant snow covers them. For the weakened one, this will be the last blanket she will ever need. In the morning, only 2 cubs remain. When a bear dies, it is said that its soul returns to the mountain, to the white heights from which it originally came, and will someday come again. For the living, the trek still must be made on foot, one step at a time. They have miles to go before they sleep. It's that rest, the restorative comfort of the long sleep, that in the end is the source of Kamchatka's power. This is a land that still allows us to encounter animals in the same innocence and wildness that we did during the last ice age. When the great bears were able to teach us so much, things we once needed to learn, but have utterly forgot.